What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome, guys, to episode number 45 of the Lootcast. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week out there. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode. Today, we have a jam-packed one that is just full of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, that is true. We didn't talk about it last week in favor of us giving all of our time to Final Fantasy, and this week we are talking Remake, what our thoughts are, what our impressions are, and if we love it, we hate it, or what our feelings are. We're also talking about the PlayStation 5 during the back half of the show. Apparently, the pricing has kind of been revealed for it, and we're going to talk about what that means, and there might be some units shipping out, might not be. There's some crazy stuff happening with the PlayStation 5. We're also talking about Resident Evil 3. With all the toxicity, negativity, and hate that it's been getting, it has been selling like hotcakes. We're going to talk about that as well. Of course, like always, if you guys haven't already followed or subscribed, make sure you guys do that. Do us a favor, share it with your family, share it with your friends. In this time of isolation, what could not be better than a bunch of goofballs talking about video games each and every week here at Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, where you can join us and share it, because they'll probably like it just a little bit. And if they don't, it's okay. They can just figure it out. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about our games this week, and let's talk to the panel. Let's see how everybody is doing tonight, and then we'll get into the show. Starting with our guest tonight, first time here, Mr. NX Revolution. Thank you for joining us on this Final Fantasy special tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I've just been playing Final Fantasy VII constantly this past week. I'm at 37 hours now.
Boom.
So, excited to talk about that.
Amazing.
The other topics.
Amazing. How's isolation been treating you?
I was actually supposed to go back to work yesterday, and they were asking me how I was doing and all this stuff, because I actually kept it on lowdown. I was in the hospital for a few days a couple weeks back. They thought I had it, but I didn't.
Thank God.
They
okay.
came to the conclusion that I would be susceptible to it, though, and that made my coworkers nervous, so they sent me home.
I mean,
So,
in all reality,
at least they have your back. So that's good.
in all reality, that's the best case for you, because you don't want to be out there. You know?
You're protecting yourself.
It's a weird
they're
time
protecting
right
you.
now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Glad to have you back.
Yeah, I was just kind of excited to get back to work, though.
No, I
Boredom
feel
taking over.
I'm not really bored. I've been in my home for probably a month and a half or so, and I've left maybe 4 times.
Those are rookie numbers.
Well, yeah.
Josh hasn't left in years.
I know.
I've become one with the house.
He's
like,
if it's for Chipotle or video games.
If it's Chipotle or video games, I'll go out for a minute. You know.
Yeah,
But
if
I
you
rush
guys
back
at
home.
home think that he has a pasty look, there's about 9 filters on top of it to get the look that you guys see today. So just
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, you have to avoid
had
the
to go
sun.
and pick up my Final Fantasy VII Remake, and other than going to work, that was the first time I've been out of the house in 3 weeks.
Wait. Quick question about you picking that up. Did you get the regular or did you get the deluxe? I'm curious
the
who on
deluxe.
here got the deluxe or the regular.
I got the deluxe.
Okay.
I got the
If I
regular.
was on camera, it'd show it, but my laptop was being weird, so I'm on my phone right
I'm sure that Dom was prepared. There we
now.
go.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super nice.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
I like how the light reflects there.
Are you gonna tell them
that's
though
gorgeous.
what you did?
Yeah. You can,
What did you do?
You can tell them. You can tell them.
So
What?
he's a monster.
Did you do something bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you
terrible.
do?
So he ordered this.
Yep, I sure did.
Through Best Buy, and it was
Yes.
supposed to be delivered on Friday.
And I ordered this in October of last year.
Yes, it was very long
Okay.
ago. And our status is saying it's going to be delivered end of day Friday.
Yep.
No problem. 8 p.m. rolls around. He's like walking outside, pacing back and forth. He's like, "It's not here. Where is it?"
I almost became a smoker that day.
I've been there.
9 o'clock comes around. He's like, "Is it here yet?" I'm like, "It's fucking 9. If it said it was not going to be here by 8, like, why are
Yeah.
you still like pacing outside?"
Did you rob somebody, Dom? Don't admit this on the stream right now.
No.
Okay. We're
And
cool.
then what was it? Was it the next day?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he finally, like, around 9:30, he was like, "Oh, great! The fucking email says that it's not gonna arrive until Monday now." And so I was like, "Oh, that sucks." So I wake up Saturday, because Saturday is my off day, and he's working. And I come upstairs, and he's playing Final Fantasy. I was like, "Oh, did it get delivered?" And he, like, looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, it got delivered." And I look at him, and I was like, "You son of a bitch, you bought it digitally." So we own it twice now, and I'm not happy about it.
I've done that.
Yeah, I woke up at about 7 in the morning, and I was like, "There's nothing else." I jumped into
It was so
Persona,
bad.
and at that moment, I was like, "Even Persona can't satisfy me right now. I need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake." So
Right.
in that moment, I downloaded it, and I was playing within the hour, and that's exactly what I needed. I haven't stopped playing since.
Yeah, he actually
Same.
hasn't touched Persona. I think maybe once. Same with Animal Crossing. Well, actually, he lies. I played Animal Crossing for him.
I
Yeah.
see. You
Yeah.
outsourced the management of your island.
No, only because a friend of mine had turned up selling prices for like 600.
I was
bells.
basically like the Shinra
Ooh,
president. I
that's
just
nice.
kind of sat there and ordered her around. I did nothing. Yeah.
Nice.
But speaking about doing nothing, the man who lives in isolation, he's going a little crazy. He's got a bandana / handkerchief on his neck today. Mr. Jake and the Bacon. How we doing today, my friend?
I'm doing okay. Thank you. I like how Red didn't recognize me.
Yeah,
It's
he's
been
like,
a rough
who's the
week.
guy in the orange?
Yeah, he's like the orange guy.
It's been a rough week. I don't know what to say. I'll try and do better, Red. Try and look better for you, buddy. Other than that, how you guys doing? I'm just chilling. I don't even remember playing the games this week. It's been like,
A haze? Did this
Yeah.
week just fly by you?
yeah, it did pretty much. I mean, I know I played some Persona.
There's no
Like-
way a week passed by and you didn't play Little Smash Brothers.
I mean, I haven't played Smash in like I think 3 or 4 days.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Something's definitely wrong.
Yeah, dude. I don't
Are
know.
you feeling okay?
No, I'm fine. I don't know. I've been going outside. I've been taking walks. I did yoga yesterday. It's real bad, guys. It's real
That-
bad.
They say if you don't do any
That's
other
another
physical
level.
activity, that yoga is one of the best things that you can
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Like if that was the
You'll
only.
My
You'll
upper
sweat.
body, like my shoulders and everything,
Probably hurts.
are on like they hurt so bad.
I used to do yoga, and people used to give me shit all the time. They're like, yoga's not a real sport or like exercise. And I was like, go ahead, fucking try it. See if you won't be hurting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It is like I don't know. It was not a beginner class.
Oh, poor thing.
I was like very tricked into this. Oh god, it was called the power class, and I was like, I am power. Let's do this. And we're like 5 minutes in. I'm like, this is easy. This is easy work, boys. And then he just kept going and doing it, the same thing over and over again. And I thought he was trying to kill me.
Yeah, it's a lot
I
of
said-
repetition. I think I'm gonna pick it up back soon again. But I mean, it was
rough.
fun.
I got the class for you. We can do it virtually together.
Oh God.
Fun.
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 I think I still have my yoga mats
Somewhere.
somewhere.
I didn't even have a mat. I have rug burns.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Like
Oh,
God.
man.
So do you like downward dog?
You know what? I can do that all day. I can do it all. I probably look ridiculous.
You look weirdly flexible. That's
everyone who
that's
does
a
yoga
weird
looks
comment.
ridiculous.
I am very flexible. I'm very athletic.
It's just twister training for adults.
It's
Yeah.
I shouldn't be able to do
America's
the
pastime.
things that I can do, but I can do them.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
But-
glad. I'm glad you're doing yoga.
You're gonna make your future wife very happy, and we're extremely excited for you.
She's the one. She's the one that tricked me into it. She's really good.
Let's say when this wife come out.
Right? She just bust out like the Kool-Aid man.
She's really good.
Well,
Yeah.
a
That's
man
about it,
that,
that's all.
a man below you over here who is extremely flexible himself, constantly bending back and forth all over the place is your player too. Join us another week, flexing himself on tonight's episode. How you doing, man?
So much truth in that statement.
Yes.
I'm doing well. Doing very well. I have also been obsessive about Final Fantasy ever since about 3:30 in the morning on Saturday, I would say. Because that is when I finished streaming Resident Evil 3.
Oh god, that's amazing.
Which was super fun. Like Resident Evil 3, like I'm glad we're talking about it. I'm not gonna start launching into it now, but I'm glad we're talking about it because I had a great time with it. But yeah, ever since then, like I play Animal Crossing for about 40 minutes a day, just long enough to sort of do the rounds, harvest my fruits, and get daily bonuses and whatnot. But it's been about 35 hours of Final Fantasy 7 this week, and I've enjoyed just about every single second of it. I'm excited to talk about this topic. So, but yeah, it's been a good week, man.
That's
Think
good
you're
to hear.
doing well also, despite your impatience at the physical. After you basically crucified me for getting a digital copy of Animal Crossing, this guy's like, oh, it's just not here yet. I can't wait another hour. What am I gonna do? Wait till Monday like a scrub? I buy it now.
You know what?
Your
I
box,
also-
I buy
no
now.
hours.
So,
Yeah.
Dom, I have
Yes.
a question regarding
Yeah.
your digital purchase.
Yeah,
Did you get the digital deluxe?
No, I didn't.
Okay. That
Because
would have been worth.
Best Buy
That
had
would've been
sent
worse.
me the codes already
Okay.
for the deluxe version, so it worked out.
Oh, actually, let me ask you a quick question. For those of you that got the deluxe, did you get your Cactuar summon or whatever?
Yeah, it's in the box.
He hasn't used it.
I redeemed the code, but I don't have it in the game, so I don't know if I just missed something. Like, do I have to like
you
go
do
somewhere in the
have it.
menu to unlock it,
Did
or is there
Do
a
you
certain
know
point in
how
the
to-
game I have to get to?
have you set summoning materia yet?
Yeah, I set Ifrit and Ice One Shiva.
Yeah.
Oh, and the what was it? The
Fat Chocobo?
yes, the Chocobo. No, not Fat Chocobo, or not
Baby
not Fat
Chocobo?
Chocobo.
Baby Chocobo.
Baby one that's being ridden by Moogle.
Oh, that's
No, that's the
yeah,
normal
move on, Chocobo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but I
normal
don't know where Cactuar is. Where is he?
What are you talking about?
You'll
if
find
you-
you'll find out
He
more
should
once you
just
start
show up
playing
in your
WoW.
menu.
I know what a chocobo is.
It was you have summons. You can ask or you can, spawn these creatures to
Spoilers.
help you fight.
Oh, summons in a Final Fantasy. That's not a
Yeah,
spoiler.
that's not a spoiler.
I totally.
That's
joking.
like being there's a battle rifle in Halo.
I forgot that the
Whoa,
Cactuar
whoa.
existed.
There's a
actually,
battle
so-
rifle in Halo.
Yeah.
I thought it was just real dramatic, like scene, like
plasma grenades.
where they show landscape and play like orchestra music.
Kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Jake,
So-
do you get the deluxe or just the new one?
So I had to drive a half an hour just to find a physical copy of this game, and they did not have the deluxe. So
Okay.
That sucks. I'll tell you what else is sold out that kind of sucks is just that special edition soundtrack they released on the Square store is sold out. I was going to pre-order that, and now you can't do it. So I ended up getting the vinyl soundtrack, which is just like a selection thing. But dude, like that one has like, I think it's like it's 7 discs, I'm pretty sure. And after listening to the music in this game so far, I'm like, man, I kind of need this, but it is sold out.
it
So
was good.
I think let's go right into it. Let's go into the first topic of
Sure.
the night, which is the Final Fantasy VII Remake impressions. We're starting off strong tonight. So I have a few reviews laid out if we want to talk about that in the back end. But I
Sure.
think whoever wants to start the conversation, whenever you guys want to start, let's just start talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Whoever wants to take it, and whoever you guys want to start.
I'll start just by saying that I'm surprised at just how completely obsessed with the game I've become. Because again, a little bit of background for me, I did not have a great level of nostalgia for this game the way a lot of people did. Again,
Yeah.
Nintendo fanboy for that for the N64 PlayStation generation. That's where I kind of turned. And by the time I had got a PlayStation, Final Fantasy VIII was already out. So I got 8, and I really liked playing 8. But a lot of my friends were rabid about 7. I played it a little bit, but not a lot. And the closest I got to finishing it was probably last year, I think. I may have like hung out with friends while they beat it once, but it was like 20 years ago is when that game came out. So I kind of expected that like I would get this sort of on principle, but that I would be like, okay, it's kind of neat, or it would be kind of pretty, but I wouldn't really fall in love with the game. And I totally fell in love with the game. It's a phenomenal game, and I'm having a blast with it. I'm just surprised at that, just because again, I have no great reverence for the original. I respected it, but it did not. I did not have an emotional bond with that game the way I did with other games from my childhood or anything, and yet I don't now I just feel like obsessed with Final Fantasy VII, so it's kind of great.
Yeah, I'll take it from there. I'm kind of in the same ballpark. I think in that one sentence we became better friends. I also jumped into 8 before 7 because when I got my PlayStation, I had gotten 8 that year, and the copy of 7 I own is the greatest hits version. So that kind of tells you like how long it took me to get to the game.
Same here.
So I have the greatest hits version, and when I played it, I had friends too at school that were like, "Oh, it's the greatest thing to hit mankind." And when I played it, I was like, "I don't like it." And I think it was mostly because 8 had kind of got into me.
More realistic kind of graphics.
Yo,
Candy.
Big Candy Andy dropping the $24.99
Andy.
freaking super chat. Thank you, my
Dude.
friend. Says congrats. Yo, thank you,
Aw.
Mr. Candy. Andy, he's out
Thank
there.
you.
Dude. Thank you, my friend. But I lost my train of thought, man. Thank you, Andy.
8 was better than 7.
Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about I think the
Hey.
graphical difference is why you like 8 better than 7.
Yeah, so I think 8 just kind of had I don't know, it just did something for me that I just really liked. So when I played 7, I just didn't have the nostalgia that other people had. Maybe I needed to be there. Maybe I need to be a little bit older too, because I think I played it in '99. So for time-wise sake, I was 10. So I mean, my appreciation for games kind of peaked at 13 onwards, I would say,
Right.
for a specific type of game. So for me, going into this game, I'm like you. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. And
Right,
I'm
right.
having a fantastic. I haven't been able to peel myself away from it. I'm spending all my time in it. Yeah.
Can I stop you? Why isn't Nick on here? Nick,
It's a great question.
yeah, why is Nick on here?
He's on the
He's
invite.
talking-
I shared the
Yeah,
calendar.
Nick beat the game.
He's talking a lot of shit. But
Well, I'll say this to your point, Dom. Like
Yeah.
when you say like talking about 8 versus 7, that's kind of where I was at too. And I think that one of the other reasons was honestly, it wasn't until I was in my 20s that video game narratives really started becoming really interesting to me, because when I was a kid, or probably up to around my teenage years, if games were heavily just text based, I wasn't very interested in. Like I like to read books, but I got annoyed with like text and stories and games because I felt like they weren't really living up to the kind of narratives I would get from other mediums, like film or like a book or something like that. So I would be very much interested in a game's action and gameplay, and almost completely indifferent about any storytelling that it tried to do. But it wasn't until around this when I played the first Silent Hill game that's when that started to change. So, and because Final Fantasy VII was so heavily text based, and again, that is a really rough era to go back to graphically speaking. It just didn't really reach out and grab me. But now with this, I feel like they're able to completely realize the vision they probably had in their heads when they were limited by the technology of their time in 1997 or 98, 97. 97, right?
97, yeah.
Thank you.
I will say something that I'm proud of, that I convinced Josh to buy, that I also bought and will be here next week.
Yes.
We both picked up the Play Asia Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII double pack for the Switch.
I need to
Nice.
get that as well. I've been.
It's on Amazon.
It is. It's
It
like
is,
50.
yeah.
It's like $50.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it just because you figure it's not going to be around forever, and it's not. It's a little something, something.
Yeah, I bought 8 digitally, and I hated that I had to do that because it wasn't available yet.
See, I didn't
Yeah.
buy 8 yet, and so that's why it was easier for me to, because I bought 7 digitally, but not 8.
I didn't buy either of them digitally, so I think that made it a lot easier for me.
Right.
NX.
No, I love the game. It's quickly become one of my favorite games I've ever played. Just
Yeah.
there's not any one thing to it. It's everything about it. I didn't play the original when it came out. I'm only 21 years old. So
Fair.
I started playing through the original a couple months back, and I was going to try and beat it. That didn't happen. But I did get through the Midgar section, and I'm thinking, while I'm playing through it, I'm thinking back to the parts in that game that are just either they don't how they were expanded in this game, I mean, and it's just mind-blowing to me how they turned like like a 5 to 8 hour section into a 40-hour game. And
Right.
to me, the visuals have their issues. I think people have touched on that.
Yeah.
But the character models of the main characters are some of the highest quality models I've ever seen. And it's impressive.
Yeah, and when you say like exploding an 8-hour sequence out to a full like 40-hour game, and I'll say this too, is I was skeptical not just on the nostalgia front for reasons I already mentioned, but I was also skeptical when they were like, oh, it's going to be episodic, because to me, when I hear episodic, I immediately do not think positive things about a forthcoming experience. I think a company's trying to nickel and dime me. This is probably unnecessary. And one of the first things I think about is whenever studios will take a movie and where the source material was a book that doesn't warrant multiple movies, and they'll try to stretch it out, kind of like they did with The Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
This is not that. This is
talk about that.
This is a big, beefy, lush, generous game. And as soon as I got about like 5-10 hours in, I was like, they need to make 90 episodes of this, and I want to play it forever. That's how I feel about it right now. Just feed me episodes forever, Square.
Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark. I was a little skeptical as well, because I know that the Midgar section is pretty not I want to say short, but it takes up a small part of the bigger game. But the fact that they were able to blow this into a living, breathing world, most of the NPCs when you're going around Midgar aren't how do you say it? They're not just stagnant. They're doing stuff, right?
Most of the NPCs around Midgar have multiple like voiced lines.
Yes.
Which
right.
Yes.
I can't imagine how many lines they actually recorded for all the NPCs.
And what's crazy too is they have legit stuff to say. So if you just kind of like take your time passing them by on your first go around, like they have like legit things to add to the lore of the world. They will give you hints about where characters are or where things are in the world. So if you really need to pay attention to them, and if you just watch them, like the things that they do, like I spent probably 5 minutes watching a fat guy who got stuck in like a tire trying to pick up a TV.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was like hilarious. You have kids who are playing sword and like they're just playing fight, practicing. Like if you just watch them, like it's really cool. It reminds me kind of like The Witcher in a sense of like the world feels alive.
Right.
And I really, really love that. And the fact that we're able to explore so much of the world that didn't exist, I think that's really cool too.
Now, can I ask you guys something? Because you're almost done with the game. Having played, 35, 40 hours, would you say you guys are at?
Yeah.
Is that like reaffirming that you think it's going to be a trilogy? Or do you think they're going to...
For me, sorry, you can finish and then I'll give my answer.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, do you think it's going to be a trilogy, or do you think they're going to do a four-part kind of entire thing?
Okay.
NX, you can go first.
So for me, where I'm at in the original game, and according to like Abaddon and them, who say I'm still very, very much in the beginning of the game, like of the original Final Fantasy VII, it's hard for me to see how they're going to make this into just three parts. Otherwise, you're going to have like part 2 be super, like way longer than part 1, or like you're going to be disappointed with part 3 if it's short or something like that. I think they're going to aim for like 30 to 40 hour experiences for each part, and I just don't see how they're going to make this big of a game into just 3 parts.
I think
it would make sense, but it's
I think this
once
might
you
be
get
the
out of
question,
Midgar,
too.
once you get out of Midgar, the game opens up hugely. There's so much you can do just even in the original. So
I think we'll probably need to circle back, and Jake, you'll probably know your answer when you complete the game. I think we'll need to circle back on your question because they've taken so many liberties and they've changed up what we know. Like a lot of what we know is there, based on the prior game. But at the same time, they've made so many changes and they've expanded the world so much. I don't think we'll really have your answer until we finish this game to know what's next. Because like I said, I haven't finished it. I'm in chapter 15. I think I have 3 chapters left. So depending on how the game comes to a close, I think we'll know the answer of how much is going to be left, if that makes sense.
That's going to be interesting because I mean, hypothetically, they could, since it is a complete reimagining of the story,
Yeah.
and they are lengthening the beginning of the game. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that they could cut parts or shorten parts greatly, depending on how they like want to, uh, tell this specific story.
Yeah.
And they could make it a 3-game trilogy, and it'll be completely different than how you would play it on the original game.
I think you hit the
Yeah,
the
but
the, the nail on the head too right there.
going based off of what they said they want to do with this remake, though, I don't see them cutting parts. It's just like we want to expand. We want to go
Yeah.
all out with this remake.
Well, what do you think about though if not cutting, but putting the same story beats, but in different places? I don't know if you guys watch anime, right? Everybody on here.
What's anime?
What's an anime? Okay, so let me give you guys an example. So My Hero Academia is a really big anime, and it's gonna work. This tie-in's gonna work. I promise you. At home, you're not believing. You're leaving right now. Don't leave. What they do is in the last season of the anime, they covered around 100 to 150 chapters of the manga, and they put that into about 18 episodes. Now, they didn't cut any of the story, but what they did was they made it faster, right? A battle that would take 12 chapters, they do it in 20 minutes. So I'm not necessarily saying that they'll cut out what we know, but they'll reimagine how we know it. There could literally be just a second part, and that's it. I don't know. Again,
Right.
I'm just saying that they could take
That
a
would-
cue from that world.
People would be fucking livid if I think they only did 2 parts.
Not if they do it right.
Oh yeah.
My theory is that we're going to get at least a trilogy, and it will probably be a trilogy. Because the thing I like about trilogies is it does lend itself very well to an arc, right? You have a beginning, you have a middle, and an end. And right now, I still very much feel like we're beginning, and then it's we have to middle, and then we have to end. Now, for my background, like playing Final Fantasy VII recently, because I was going to try to finish Final Fantasy VII before this came out. And
Yeah.
I think I want to say I made it about halfway through on the Switch. And even at the part that I'm at, I know there's still a whole lot more that has to be told. Like once you get out of Midgar, and with that, and the other thing that I'll say is I don't think they're going to streamline at all. I think they are just going to expand like crazy because they have no reason not to. They've got a rabid built-in fan base for a ton of people who consider this not only to be one of the best RPGs of all time, but in many cases just flat out the best game of all time. I'm not saying I agree with that position, although the remake they can be questioned
right?
The
sometimes.
remake is gonna have an
and
argument.
yeah, and the thing that I love about this, about what I've played so far, is like, so I have some fairly recent familiarity with the story from what I've played just about 6 months ago, right? So I'm not going in completely blind necessarily. Now I at least have some more context for the different areas I'm seeing, the different characters, how they develop, and how those narratives sort of work together. But what I love is that the narrative, or the core narrative that people have been familiar with for 23 years, has been expanded upon in just this very like organic, sort of nuanced way, right? When you talk about NPCs, mentioning things, and it's weird because one of the complaints I have heard about the game is people are like, well, there's a lot of filler. But if you're somebody, but honestly, I'm not going to say it reaches Witcher levels with the side quests or anything. But what I will say, they're not just fluff either, right? There's one distinct one I can think of, and I'm not going to spoil anything here. But there is a quest that you do that is near Sector 5.
Yeah.
And it's one of the first side quests you can do. And you probably know what I'm talking about, Dom. And once you're done, the character who gives you the quest mentions that, they weren't the first person to be in the position that they're in. And that really comes to light later in a more significant way. So seeing, them taking these well-known characters and basically layering on additional, backstory and narrative and things for the fans is tremendous. Like even me as somebody who's not like, oh man, I've loved that character for 2 decades. I can't honestly say that about any of these characters, but I love that they do it because I know that the fans are eating it up. And for me as a player, I can see that, now these characters have a more richly developed backstory, and that makes them more endearing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll buddy off of that too. Is not every side quest, and I think we let's talk about side quests for a little bit, because I think a lot of people want to know about them, and not what they are, but kind of what our thoughts are on them. But not every side quest I feel hits it out the park. That's just the reality of it. If you any game you play, not every side quest will hit it out the park. But I think the ones that do, I think they really get you to care about characters that would normally or maybe historically have just been passerby characters, right?
Right.
There's some characters that you meet in Sector 7 that I think would have normally been introduced in the story, but they get like really, they grow a lot. And
Yeah.
the fact that you have to revisit the characters throughout your story, it makes you that much more, I don't want to say attached, but interested in what they are, who they are, what they're doing, how they got there. You have all these questions, and it doesn't necessarily answer everything, which is okay, but it builds them out enough to
Right.
make you like immediately go, I can't skip anything. Because
Yeah.
it's like if I skip one thing that may seem insignificant, I may miss the next key thing. And the fact that they did that so well is really telling to the love that Square put into even the side missions.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, like when you talk about like that extra love and care they put into it, characters that I knew just from playing the original, that were tertiary or barely in the story at all, now can have a background that gets narratively fleshed out over 2 to 3 hours of play.
Yeah.
And at first, I would be like, in other games, I would be like, oh, this is just pointless failure. Nobody cares about this person anyways. The game makes you care in a significant way. Like none of them were phoned in. None of them felt half baked. Like it's all really good. Like
I mean,
I don't know.
just to put it in perspective for you guys at home, and we're not going to cover anything that's spoilery, but there is a mission, a cat mission, that even the freaking cat later on in the story gets tied in a significant way. And I've never seen that happen before, like a fetch quest that mattered to that level. And it doesn't matter unless you pay attention, but if you pay attention, it totally matters. And I think that's special.
Yeah. I was going to say, complete random side note.
Yeah.
I was watching a Happy Console Gamer's video review on this the other day, and he said this, and now I can't get it out of my head, just how much Biggs looks like a young Charlie Sheen, and now I can't see anything but Charlie
Oh,
Sheen every
man.
time I look at Biggs.
He looks like Charlie Sheen from Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, it's nuts. Every time I look at him, I'm just like, oh man, it's just Charlie Sheen. Like that's all I can
It's just
see.
Charlie Sheen. That's true.
Studio Nintendo said it looked like Jimmy Garoppolo to him, and now I can't unsee that. So
Janine Garofalo?
Jimmy Garoppolo, he's the
Josh doesn't sport.
Oh no, I don't sport. You're gonna have to break that down for me.
He's Jimmy
I'll send you a
GQ.
picture later. It
Jimmy
does look
G Spot.
like-
I think it's
He's a-
Janine Garofalo. I was like, that's a weird leap. I didn't see that.
No, but no, it's a great game.
What do you think about the side missions then, X? What are your thoughts?
There are some that are better than others. I'm not gonna talk about one specifically. One I thought was just kind of a waste of time. It's early in the game. It's not a huge spoiler, but so
yeah, I think some
I've
of
done
them.
every single one, and that impressive in its several side quests that you don't ever want to do.
I think we lost you there for a second. What was that?
You say you did every side quest?
Every side quest there. Through and mess with. So I don't really have anything bad to say about it, except I've seen a visual glitch or two.
Yeah. I have partaken in a couple of funny, interesting moments.
Well, there's one, and it's not even. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the gameplay. But like the skybox, I look up at the skybox, and there's just this cutoff, and I've only seen it in this part of the game, and it's clear that it doesn't line up with the other side. So it almost takes you out a little bit. But texture's not loading. That'll probably be fixed with patches and stuff. So
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the visuals. So So textures pop in. There's not really that much pop in. It's just the textures that pop in. And I've noticed that they're just there. It seems to be a streaming thing. Like, if you guys are familiar with the word asset streaming, I just feel like it's the limitations of the hardware, not necessarily the game.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is on a technical level one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen, bar none. It's right up there, or even beyond Death Stranding, which I thought was also a pretty cool benchmark for
Yeah.
what you could do with character models and everything. But I almost feel like Final Fantasy even just outs it. And the only problem I've had is that a lot of these assets, the textures look real ugly up close. Now, if the camera is just a little bit further out, like at a mid or a wide distance, it's not noticeable at all. It just looks completely gorgeous. But the second the camera zooms in close, or if you're kind of pivoting the camera around Cloud and you're in a tight space where the camera kind of bumps forward, so he doesn't get blocked by the geometry of the level, you can see it, and it's very evident. But to your point, I don't think it's a software thing. I think it's a hardware thing.
Yeah.
They have to strike a balance between how many assets they can load and how much space those are going to ultimately take up. I mean, it's already 100 gigabyte install, 100
Yeah, it's
gigabyte
big.
plus, I think. So I think that some of that could be mitigated with next generation hardware potentially, or that someday we might even see a remaster of the remake, which sounds ridiculous, but
we'll probably
I'd
see
buy
it
it.
fixed when it hits Xbox One X next year and PC.
Yeah.
It'll be fixed on PC.
Oh, for
no
sure.
one needs to worry about that. Visually, not necessarily graphics, but the art style I like a lot because it strikes a balance. Because it's not super like realistic, but like there's definitely a style to it.
Yeah.
It's like I would call the style. It's like CGI anime. That's what it reminds me of. Like, gosh, what was it? There was some anime on Netflix that was like it was completely computer generated. The entire thing looked like a cutscene from a video game, and that style is it's really close to this Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I love how
I think-
everything's is in engine.
Isn't the in-game render of Cloud that we're playing right now, doesn't he technically look better and have more detail than Advent Children Cloud when
Big
that
time.
came out?
Yeah,
Big time.
I actually
That's
watched
crazy
a
to
video
me.
where they talked about it, and they thought about just using that model, but they were basically unimpressed with it, so they made a better model for the game.
Oh, they nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, someone who's not even playing the game, when I do see Dom play, yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
That looks good.
Even looking at
It's-
the models from like the 2015 compared to what it is now is
I
mind
mean,
blowing.
I haven't stopped and taken as many freaking screenshots in a game in a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And-
Yeah.
I tell him all the time. I was like, just record the whole thing because
I am recording the whole thing, but even during my recordings, I'm capturing myself taking screenshots and other clips within those same recordings because I'm like, I want these on my PlayStation. I want to be able to go back to my library of screenshots and
there's
clips
memories.
within the game. But now, okay, so here's one thing too. Visually, did everybody here play Outer Worlds, or did you guys touch Outer Worlds at
Yes.
all?
Yes.
The NPCs
Not yet.
in Final Fantasy VII Remake are almost one for one like the NPCs in Outer Worlds. Like if you look at some of the ones that don't matter
Oh, yeah.
necessarily, and you just talk to them, like there's a scene where like you need to make the town feel better, and you have to talk to a few NPCs, and they look pretty rough. So it's moments like that it's like seeing Cloud and his lusciousness, or Tifa and all of her assets that she has streaming in, and then you see him against those NPCs. It's kind of a little bit, it's a little, not, I want to say jarring, because I hate when people say the words something's jarring, because it's not. It's just definitely like, I think when this version comes to the next generation consoles, or like NX was saying PC, and you're able to bump that up, I think a lot of things are going to look a lot better. But I also think they can look better with just patches in the future. I think some of this could be patched.
Well, I think like you're saying, the asset streaming, they can make more efficient through patches. There's only so much you can do on hardware from 2012.
This is true
Right.
too. I would like to see some options though, like PS4 Pro, like give us some options. Maybe don't faux render to 4K, or maybe allow me to have some kind of visual mode or performance. Just maybe give us options. They can typically do things like that, and maybe rendering it out in 1080p as opposed to.
Yeah. I think if they give you like resolution options, that could solve some issues.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what that would look like, if that would make any kind of difference. I would assume it would, but I mean, who knows, right?
Well, lower resolution assets load in faster.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You're not gonna get like a frame rate boost on this game, because I apparently in like pre-release demos,
Mhm.
like from way back, they ran it at an unlocked frame rate, and it was hitting like 45, like
Oof.
40 most of the time. So
Oof.
you're not gonna see like frame rate options, but it could help with loading and such. I will actually be right back because I'm gonna run my dog out. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
Oh, sure thing.
For sure. Let's just kind of talk about, like, wrap up our impressions. Let's talk about the music, and then let's talk about just gameplay, and then we'll kind of wrap up our impressions. So, what do you guys think about the music of the game so far?
I'll go with the music because I don't have a lot to say about the gameplay. I don't have a lot to say about the music, but I'm just going to throw my 2 cents out there real quick. I love the music. I think it's so good, and I very much look forward to hearing more battle themes and everything like that. Josh bought this vinyl.
Yes.
Smart move. I think that's going to be a joy to listen to. Have a nice glass of sparkling water.
Yeah.
Listen.
If I want to feel extra fancy, be like,
Pop it in. I don't have a record player like him. But,
I don't either. I stole it from my old roommate. He doesn't remember that he left it here, but now it's my record player.
well,
Fair enough.
you deserve it. He broke your heart.
Yeah, he did. He left me. No.
Consolation prize is his record player. A worthy trade, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and it doesn't have as many tracks like that 7-disc collection, which is what I really want after hearing all the tracks in this game.
Yes.
But I've actually been playing this whole time, and I'm almost. I can't wait to replay this game on hard mode. I know it's going to get harder than what I'm on right now, but I just feel like this first boss. I think I talked about it at the demo. He's not hard. He just takes a long time to kill.
There was a boss later in the game that took me like 40 minutes. No joke.
Wait, what? Really?
Yes. I
Can you give me a hint?
I can.
Or put it in the chat.
How far did you get into the original?
Oh, wait, no. You're saying, the boss was from the original Final Fantasy, not the remake?
No, I'm talking about the remake. But how far did you get into the original? Did you beat the Midgar section in the original?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, the boss I'm talking about was a callback to an enemy.
Have I fought it yet?
The enemy was originally in the.
What chapter
Sector
does it show
6.
up in?
Yeah, what chapter is it in? I don't think that spoils anything.
Wall Market. In the arena.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That one.
I did a video about that because I got so frustrated.
Couldn't figure out what his weakness was after the first one.
See, I had no problem with this fight. Like I must have just gotten lucky because I just kept using the yeah.
Well, you also have like a tank. So,
But that's the thing. I didn't have him. I don't think when I did that one.
No, you didn't. Based on how the story goes.
Yeah.
No, that if we're talking about the same fight, that one you only have 2 party members.
Yeah, I just kept looking at the shifts, and then I just kept changing the abilities I was using, the
Fair.
material that I had in place.
Jake,
I mean,
you gotta
you can't
hurry
be
up.
vegetarian in battle, but I may try to have a variety before.
What'd you say, bud?
I said you gotta hurry up so we don't have to dance around things.
Speaking of, no, I'm gonna let Dom make that transition. I'm not gonna do it.
That-
I refuse.
And that was pretty good.
That was.
That was
I
pretty
would have
good.
let it happen.
The last thing. The last thing is let's just talk about gameplay and overall impressions. If just talk about some of if you guys had to give it a score or a critical impression, what would that look and sound like from you guys' perspective?
I can't say.
We know, Jake, it's fine. You'll
We
say
give
next
it a
week.
shit.
I would say that I would give it a higher score than a lot of the critics have. At least
We're talking just because the gameplay as a score, right?
No,
Gameplay
overall.
itself
I
or
want you to talk
overall?
about
For the
gameplay
entire
and
game.
overall. Yeah.
I would probably have to go like a 9.5 for me. I'm just liking it that much.
I don't
You don't
want
like
to
it?
say it.
Say
Me?
it.
Yeah. The way
I
you
want to
read
give it
now.
a 10, but that feels
Okay.
so dumb from someone who hasn't finished the game yet.
How about just say
I didn't
9.9?
want to sound stupid either.
And that's I don't think it's stupid. It's just one of those things. Like I would never dole out a 10 lightly, right? But the thing that I love about it is every single aspect that you would look at when it comes to design for a game, like things like graphical presentation, pacing, gameplay, mechanics. All these things are top notch, right? It's undeniable. Like there's not a single aspect you could sort of like dissect and pick apart from this game. And be like, you know what? The music wasn't that great. No, it's a masterpiece. And but here's why it gets the 10, because if we're going to sit here and say, oh, you know what, those textures look kind of ugly up close, clearly we're not giving it a perfect score because based off of the fact that it ticked the highest box of quality in every individual piece. But as a whole, when all this stuff comes together, the fact that it not only pays loving homage to the original, and that they included sequences that a lot of people thought wouldn't get included in a remake in the modern age, but then they go so far as to expand the lore and to make it, I don't know, expand even further beyond all the love people have for the original narrative. That's no small feat. That's an easy thing to screw up. We saw The Hobbit screw that up. And Final Fantasy.
Stop
7.
talking about The Hobbit.
I liked The Hobbit.
I like The Hobbit too.
I
But
love the book.
Are you going to
And-
tell me? All right, let me ask you this: gun to your head, would you rather watch the Hobbit trilogy or the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Lord
Lord
of
of
the
the
Rings.
Rings.
Easy.
There you go.
I love Lord of the Rings. That's not fair. I would pick Lord of the Rings over any trilogy ever made.
There you go.
Probably.
Right. That's all I'm saying. Is the remake to me has become just so incredible. Like I haven't put it down, is because it elevates the original. It takes things that previously, like when I was younger, I was just like, it's not really that interesting to me, and it forced me to be interested. Then I wanted more of it, and now when people ask me like, well, what do you think of the episodic thing? I'm like, I want it to be the first game to have infinite episodes. I want to be playing it until I am dead. That's how great the game is. I'm adoring it.
Until I'm dead.
So
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. I have this how do you say it? I have this gift to remove myself from things I love and be open-minded to the things that I have enjoyed being different. And although I said earlier in the cast that I'm not a Final Fantasy VII like aficionado or fan or fanboy of
Right.
it, or like I don't think it's the greatest thing to ever hit mankind from video games or anything, but this game ticks every one of my boxes. And for me, it's an action RPG, which I know a lot of people are, their britches got all tied up that they changed that, but I think it was a really well crafted and well thought out change to the gameplay for it being an action RPG versus turn based. I think it opened it up to a new audience of people to be able to jump into the game, because turn based just in general it's not usually widely like, a lot of people are like, those turn-based games. There's typically a subgenre of people that really enjoy those games. I think this just makes it more broader to the larger audience. I think that was a smart change. But the combat's brilliant, gameplay's brilliant, visually it's stunning. It has its ugly moments, like you said, Musically, it's amazing. I think there's a workout section the music is just banging. I did not expect to like.
yeah.
I did that workout section multiple times just because the music. I was
Just
like,
for
"Yo,
that track.
I'm into this like a lot. The transitions that it has, like I've said it multiple times on the podcast or reviews, is the best compliment you can give a game is when you don't notice the music, but you sit there listening to it. And there's times that I've gone idle in this game for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, or something like that. Just, I have it there. I'm paused doing something else real quick, and I'm listening to the music still. And that's a super compliment to how well crafted the music is in the game. So for me, I haven't finished it just yet either. I have about 3 more chapters left. But I say that, it's a 10 as well. And I don't necessarily think that you need to finish a game to know that it's a masterpiece. You know what I mean? There's been plenty of games that I've finished and they've left me like, oh, I hate that ending. Or there's things, but I don't think that takes away from it being a amazing game. So for me, I think this game is a 10 as well. I think it's going to go down as one of the best games on the PlayStation 4 when everything's said and done. And I think this will probably get Game of the Year this year, unless something else comes out and blows it away. I really don't. Even in a year where Cyberpunk exists, although I think that's more of a tech piece, I'm gonna be very interested to see what it does story wise. I just don't know. I think this may take it in 2020, and it's a game that everybody needed too, so that's cool too.
Well, what I think might happen is I feel like I'm going to make the statement that it's going to be my game of the year, or that I feel like it will as well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have a repeat of my 2013. My 2013 being BioShock Infinite came out, and I played through that, and I adored it. And I was like, this is my game of the year. And then about a month later, The Last of Us came out, and I was like, forget BioShock Infinite. This is so much better. And I'm wondering if that's going to happen again. Like if I'm so all in on Final Fantasy VII Remake right now, and then The Last of Us 2 is going to come over the top and oust it. But one thing real quick I wanted to say before I forget is when you talk about the gameplay, I can't get over the fluidity of the combat. Like, it is bizarre to me that you can have a game that manages to nail the turn-based aspect and the real-time action aspect and a harmonious blend of both and do all of them equally well.
Yeah.
That's weird. Most publishers or developers can't nail one genre. And they somehow took 2 and managed to do this bizarre hybrid, and it works. That is just incredible design. Like, it's so fun. Like, I look forward to every scrub battle I come across. When you play older Final Fantasy games, every time you see like little scrub enemies, you don't want to sit there and grind up for hours. You do it because you have to.
I think the character switching is one of the best elements that they included. How seamless it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's definitely a pro tip for anybody new going into the game is when you have character A about to be stuck in an animation, immediately switch to character B, do the same thing, switch to character C, do the same thing, and then switch back to A. And like it's awesome. Like it's legitly awesome. And I haven't avoided any scrub enemies either just because it's never felt it never gets old, never gets stale. It always feels really cool. And as you unlock different items, different weapons, Tifa became my favorite character to play with in the game.
Same.
Without even knowing it. And eventually I just noticed like, hey, I just keep switching to Tifa constantly just because I wanna be in command of her. It's such a good game. I think everybody will have their own favorite character, own favorite style of gameplay. The weapon variety is enough to where I think everybody can have a different loadout, different materia that they use, different ways that they bounce characters off of each other. I think this just allows for a ton of variety to all get to the same goal, which is the end of the game. But I think we're going to have enough people get to it differently. And there's also, before we get off the game, there's also one thing I found really interesting is your choices in the game really matter too. And speaking about differences that we're all going to have when everything's said and done, there's potential that we could have different story beats in the game just with the choices that we make. And I found that extremely interesting as well.
Before we get off the game, I have to ask you the real question. Who is best girl, Dom? I want to know your...
Best girl is Tifa.
He's gonna say Tifa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you're a man of taste.
It wasn't. It wasn't for the first about 10 hours of the game.
Oh,
was it Jesse?
It was Jesse, but then suddenly
Okay.
just something happened, and I was like, "Yeah, I think this is it. This is the one."
For a little while though, he bounced to Aerith too, and he was like, "She might be it." And then he was
They all
like,
do it
"No."
really well.
I liked her the least, but she grew on me.
Eventually, he decided just to stick with her.
Yeah, if I had to say, Tifa's like S-class waifu, and then Aerith and Jesse are A-class, which is very
You're like in the
no-
Dom pantheon of best girl rankings. That's very
that's
good.
no
It's a
light
strong
given
performance.
award, but Tifa just she's the one you want by your side, thick and thin. She's gonna fix you up a drink, cook you a meal, and kick everyone's ass, and you just chill out. You know, what I mean, it's the best of all.
And like you, I wasn't huge into, like, at first I was like, oh, she just punches stuff, that's dumb. I've got a sword. And then like after a while I was like, oh my god, I was like, she's super fun to play. She's so fast compared to the other characters.
Yeah,
I
See,
really like playing as Tifa.
I don't like playing as Tifa that much. I don't have anything against it, but I like playing as Barrett a lot with his ranged attacks, and I like playing as Cloud.
Yeah.
Tifa, I usually just switch to get like the materia uses off.
Oh,
And then
right.
I let her go.
but that's what's so cool about the game is just like that one statement is the fact that we can all have the same opinion of it being great, but again, what we view as the greatness of it is different, and that's what really makes a great game is the fact that we can all agree that it's awesome, but the nuances of what's awesome to us are all different, and that just means that there's so many different things in the game that's amazing, and that's cool.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for Jake to have his opinion
to
when we
it.
talk next week, because I'm sure he'll share some of the sentiments. Because if I know Jake, and let me tell you guys, I know this man. He gonna love this game.
He gonna pick for best waifu?
I think he's gonna go Aerith. He seems like he wants the
I can see that.
the gentle type that's gonna caress his hair, and that's it. She's it. She's the one.
I am a very rugged individual. I do like a womanly woman.
Yeah,
Right.
I can see
It's
that.
true.
I can
We'll
see
see. I honestly, I
You're a
am.
cuddler. You like the
No.
cuddles?
Yeah, yes, don't let him lie to you.
No, I'm not a cuddler.
that.
I usually leave afterwards. Just kidding. Oh god, no. But I am just seeing the lineup. Aerith, it caught my eye definitely. So
Oh, we know.
we'll see. We'll see. I will. I promise you. I will have played at least 30 hours of this before the next Lootcast.
I think you'll have 30 hours out by Sunday. I think you're a lunatic.
For that conversation, I've gone with like the character choices for Tifa, but I feel bad for Aerith every time I do, because Aerith is a good character.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
I'm
and
curious to see more of her story because I don't have any knowledge of Final Fantasy before this, right? Like, so everything that I know
Oh, very cool.
is based off
Chat,
of what
don't
I've
say
seen for
anything.
Dom. And there's been times where like I'll ask Dom, I was like, wait, what happened? So I'm like going along with the story, like Persona 5, I'm living the game through Dom.
all 120 hours
Yeah.
of it. So
I did
far.
the same thing when he played Breath of the Wild. It's the only reason why I never got into it myself because I felt like I already had played it. But yeah, I'm more curious to see how the story goes and like how you guys mentioned in the very beginning. Is it gonna have a trilogy, and where are they gonna take it from here?
And the last thing, and I'll really leave off on it because Josh mentioned waifus, and he knows that's my trigger word.
It is.
The fact that they built out a character that seemingly didn't really exist in the original game in Jessie and made her top tier class waifu that you really care about, I just felt that was amazing. And her character is awesome, and her voice actor is awesome. All of her, just how they built that character out in the story, it's awesome. And the fact that it made it difficult to choose best girl in the game, like as a gamer of a waifu-ness choice, like
Right.
that's
a waifu
a
hunter.
masterpiece. That's a masterpiece in my book.
She
That
is
is a
funny.
strong endorsement.
I like Jessie so far.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. All right, so let's move on with the news for this week. Thank you guys for putting up with our very long-winded conversation about Final Fantasy VII Remake. As you can tell, we're all very, very into it, obsessed, love it, think that it is worthy of being in there for potential Game of the Year in 2020. And it's an odd year, so I don't feel like there may be too much competition, but only time will tell. Make sure you guys stay engaged with us each and every week. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the news that has been happening this week. So as Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out on the PlayStation 4, and we're wondering how could it run better, the answer that we seem to be getting is, well, PlayStation 5 will probably fix that, and Sony wants to get it into your hands. But this year, they did talk about how there might be limited production of said console when it does end up coming out. And no, before you start thinking it, they have already said, no, it's not due to the current pandemic. It is just how it's going to roll. So this came from the Bloomberg article. So this came from Bloomberg. So sources over there, they had said Sony will be producing a lower number of PlayStation 5 consoles this year. The cause, reportedly, again, is not due to the current pandemic, but rather the hardware's high price at launch. So this is what they have here. The console's technical specs are expected to be reflected in the pricing. Bloomberg added to the article here that there has been a speculation that the PS5 will be priced between $499 and $549. Weird pricing. There says certain components are very scarce right now and are expensive, which could cut into the company's profits on each machine that is sold. Sony quoted as telling his partners that it will make 5 to 6 million PS5s during the financial year ending on March 31st, 2021, which is their fiscal year. In comparison to the PlayStation 4's launch, which sold around 7 million during the first 2 quarters. So the goal is to have a worldwide launch at the end of this year, but the pandemic and just cost of components could definitely impact that. So PS5, we're given a roundabout pricing, and maybe it might be difficult to nab one early on. What do you guys think?
Probably will be hard to get one early on. I will be rapidly keeping an eye on pre-order windows because I'm definitely not going to miss it.
Same here. I mean, it's right within the ballpark that I predicted originally as far as like what it should be priced at, which was like no more than the $499 because it was just going to be too much out of budget for a lot of families or for households. I'm glad that it's not going to be more than the $549, even though it is a weird price.
Nice.
Like mariachi music. But anyways, like it's gonna be hard only because for just like the Nintendo Animal Crossing Switch, right? If it is unlimited quantity when it first comes out, I feel like flippers might take advantage of this when pre-orders come out. And it's gonna suck because of course it's gonna hike up the price for those that actually do want it, and it's gonna sour the process for a lot of people, especially those that like us, who really do want it come launch. If for whatever reason something happens and we don't happen to get our hands on it when it comes out, it's gonna make this whole process terrible. So I mean, the limited quantity is kind of on a sad note.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to hear. There's always going to be like flippers and scalpers who are going to try to take advantage of whatever the hot new thing is.
Yeah.
As far as the pricing goes, that is about what I expected. I would have been very surprised to see it go north of 600, but I would not be surprised to see it hit 500 because with the kind of specs that they're talking in both camps right now, I was fairly certain that we were not going to see a 399 or definitely not like a 299 launch. It's hopefully it's moderately future proof. I'm hoping that it has some longevity, and they don't come up with like a mid-generation refresh like a year and a half later. That would kind of suck, especially if it's gonna be like $550. I don't know. I'm even if they're making less, I'm sure that we'll still be able to get a hold of a copy. We'll be able to
Yeah,
get a
I
hold of
think a
the system and
majority
everything.
of the people that want to get one on launch day will probably get it. There'll be some that don't, of course. In the flippers, I hope that
Right.
people are smart enough to just wait like 2 months, and then
Yeah.
the flippers will be stuck with multiple PS5s.
Yeah.
The price range makes me curious to see what Xbox is going to price
Me
theirs
too.
at, because the specs in the Xbox One in the Xbox Series X are better than the PS5. So I think the Xbox could hit probably 600, unless they're willing to sell at which maybe they will.
That's the thing, is Microsoft has a bigger margin of error in terms of what they need to make on the console or what they want to make on the console.
Yeah.
You know, Microsoft, they have a lot of eggs in their basket in terms of like computers and software and everything like that. Sony, yeah, they do other things. They do like televisions and like speakers and stuff like that, but their console is like its own monster. I'm surprised that it's going to be, would you say 500 or 550?
They're
Yeah.
suspecting
It's 5 to
499
550.
or 549.
So if there is going to be two Microsoft consoles, like if there's going to be two Xboxes, and one of them is $400, and it is somewhat comparable to the PS5 in terms of like just raw power. Like if it's a couple teraflops less and it's $100 less, that's not going to be good for Sony, especially with all the games that you can just play on your PS4. I mean, I think it would equate to a lot of people waiting on the PS5 if there is a much cheaper option that's not a big downgrade from
Yeah.
Microsoft.
Mhm.
So we'll have to wait and see what, this is all speculation. I'm I want to see when Microsoft announces a second console. I think that's going to be huge if and when they do, because that's probably going to be the one that I get. I don't really need I don't need that computer tower because most of the games that I want to play are going to be on PlayStation, um, and uh, but I might wait if it depends on the price and everything like that. If I have the money on day one PS5, I'll buy it. But if anything has been kind of prevalent over the years, it's that day one consoles sometimes they got some bugs. So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
might want to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Xbox 360. That is all I have to say.
So that leads me into another question that I had for the panel, and this was something I was thinking myself the other day. This will probably be the first generation as we move forward into the next generation of games to where I'm excited about the next generation hardware, and because of what we do as our hobby, and we do every week here for our channel, and what we do for our pastime. Of course, we're gonna get the next piece of hardware, but the reality is, I'm not really like. I don't think we need new consoles right now. Like, I'm not feeling like I did in the past, right? From PS2 to PS3, or when PS3 and Xbox 360 were going into the new generation. Like, I was over it. Like, I was like, I've had these consoles for almost what felt like 10 years, right? It felt like that leap in visual fidelity and what we were getting was just so huge. Like, I was hungry for the next system. But right now, I'm not with just playing Final Fantasy VII Remake right now, or Death Stranding last year, or games on my mid-generation refreshes, right? Because we're playing on PS4 Pros and Xbox One X's. I'm not really like feeling like I need a new console right now. And I just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on like what your guys' feelings are.
I'll go first. Um, I agree with you that I'm not super excited for the next generation, as I thought I would be. A lot of the blame can be placed on Nintendo, because I do have so much fun playing my Nintendo Switch, and it is such a low resolution, like maintenance free, carefree console. Um, I think that the jump in technology and everything like that will be more prevalent once TVs and monitors are more openly accessible to be able to support the more power that's getting thrown onto the market with these new consoles.
Yeah.
Like when we played the 360, think about going from a Xbox 360 to an Xbox One S with the upscaled 4K and everything like that. It was crazy. I remember it. I was like, wow, this is. I went out and bought a 4K TV, whatever. It was really cool. And there's gonna come a time where 8K TVs are $500 at Walmart. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen probably in the next 4 or 5 years. It's gonna be a thing. It's just everyone's gonna have an 8K TV. And I think that's going to be really when we start to see just stuff that we never thought we'd see, in terms of playing just a game in our living room. But yeah, as for right now, I'm not. I share the same sentiment. I'm not really super excited.
And you know what? Just to buddy off, I think the other piece of it, I think where a lot of my sentiment comes from, and again, I'm always excited to have new hardware, like I said, but I think part of where my sentiment comes from is I think the narrative going into next generation is that, oh, well, the games coming out next generation are still going to be playable on your current hardware. And I think that's kind of messed with my psyche a little bit, is like the next Halo Infinite coming out, we've even talked like, oh, well, we're going to get one Series X because we're crazy people. But normally we would get two because there's two of us. But I was like, I don't think that's necessary, though, because I can just play on my Xbox One X. Or if it's on PC, I'll just play on my PC because my PC is more powerful than my One X, right? So I think because of that narrative, I'm like, we don't necessarily need the Series X. And same thing with PS5, I'm sorry, because they haven't announced any games. And because now that they're saying, oh, it's going to have limited quantities, I don't think we're going to see a PS5 exclusive game either for a while. And I think that's kind of part of where I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, would you put out a PS5 exclusive when the PS4 sold over 100 million consoles? I think it'd be throwing away money,
especially with constrained launch units for the PlayStation 5.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If they can only ship 300,000 units, but they got 1 million people, just like foaming at the mouth to get whatever this latest exclusive is. That's not great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what happened with the Switch, really. You remember people were buying Breath of the Wild even though they couldn't get the Nintendo Switch. Like at launch, they have, what was it, like a +3 attachment rate or something ridiculous because people were just buying games like even when they didn't have the system.
I've done that before. Like, just bought a game. I was like, I'm getting this now because I will have the console, and when I do, I'm gonna play this shit.
Yeah,
the problem, Jason.
I did that with the GameCube before my parents got me one for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome. I think I would be more excited if I knew of software that was directly going to be taking advantage of, but I don't really know any next generation games. I mean, like Halo's an inevitability, right?
I think that's part of it is that we have not seen like hardly any games that are going to be coming out.
Yeah, I barely know the games that are going to come out this year, let alone holiday season and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that's part of it. For sure.
Like, I'm always going to be pumped for new console launch. That hype machine will get me. It gets me, every generation. It will get me this time, and that's okay. But right now, I mean, I think what we've learned about the hardware is neat and everything. But even if I knew of games that were going to be coming next generation, this one feels less exciting than previous ones. There's really no breakout new feature. Most of it's under the hood improvements, which is fine. but there's not. I don't know. Considering that even Microsoft is like, yeah, there's not going to be any first-party exclusives like the first year of the Xbox Series X. I mean, that does diminish it a little bit, right? I mean, because that's really the thing that drives the excitement of hardware purchases in the first place. I would not have been as excited to get a Nintendo Switch if I didn't know that a game like Breath of the Wild was waiting for me when I went to pick it up.
Well, you could have played that on Wii U.
Could, yeah.
Could I?
You could have done a lot of
Really?
things on the Wii U.
I
and
own
X,
it.
but
I
guess
own
what?
that. I own
No
that
one
bad
did.
boy on the Wii U.
Uh,
Just to let you all
nah,
know that.
Josh hit it right on the head, though. Like I'm excited for the new consoles just based on the fact that they're new.
Yeah.
But I don't really feel like I need. I'm in the same boat as you guys. I don't feel like I need them. I'll probably get a Series X at launch, but I might not get a PS5 at launch.
Yeah, and I think I'm less excited. I think the moment that the PlayStation says the day that they say Horizon 2's coming this fall, Spider-Man 2, God of War 2, the moment that they say there's some piece of software that's exclusive to the platform that's coming out this year, I'm there day and date. On the Xbox side though, I feel like a little less excitement just because of Game Pass and their streaming service that they offer, that I know that whatever they come out with is going to be backwards compatible. PlayStation, I feel like I'm not as certain in that, but Xbox for sure I am. I think, I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting. I'm gonna see where I'm at in 6 months, where my hype level is at for these new consoles.
let me say one last thing,
Okay.
and then I'll shut up and let Cynthia talk. I wholeheartedly know myself, and I will be excited like when leading up to the launches, because I'm such a slut for hype. Like it's the reason I bought Animal Crossing. It's
That's
like
fair.
I feed off other people's excitement sometimes, and I kind of fall victim to this like I don't want to miss out mentality. So it has caused me to like make questionable purchases in the past. Astral Chain, and
Great game.
I took that shit back. Oof, did not.
Ugh, great game.
But I just don't want to like when I am excited for this in 5 months and people look back on this episode, Jake was talking shit. I probably will be excited. So, Cynthia, please bless us with your thoughts.
So, I mean, Dom's right. I was the one who actually brought it up to him saying, you know what, when this does come out, because I'm the Xbox lover of this house, right? Dom's the PlayStation lover. And I was like, this console is going to be for me. And we only need one. Because with everything that Xbox has come out with, like he mentioned, the backwards compatibility, he can continue playing on his Xbox One X that we already have one without having to worry about dishing out $1,000 for two consoles, because we're already going to be dishing out more or less $1,000 on one Xbox One PlayStation, and I'm not about to double that amount.
Yeah.
Unless I know it's worth it, right? And I mean, PlayStation though, that's their problem, is they don't have that. They don't have a good viable online option like Xbox Game Pass, like their ultimate option that they have for PC and Xbox, as well as their backwards compatibility. And so, I mean, Xbox is doing a lot of good things, and because of that, I think they're going to be able to price it at a cheaper price point. I think PlayStation's just shooting themselves in the foot. Like, one, with the price, but two, mentioning that it's going to be limited stock. So we'll see.
We'll see.
And it is interesting because what is making people want to buy the new consoles?
Software. Well,
Well,
we don't
I
know
mean,
what it
it's
is yet, but it will.
like
be
it's
software.
the power.
New.
Like it's just the power. It's the hot new thing.
Yeah.
But what sells consoles? Games.
Yep.
So they're in a kind of a weird spot where all they can talk about really is teraflops this, SSD this,
Which, frankly, I have no idea about. I'm not that techy, right? You guys know that. When it comes to specs and you guys start talking about the hardware, I'm a mute because I can't say anything to that. So I can
But
care
you-
less.
But you know a good game when you see one.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say is that, you know, there's no games that are going to be selling these consoles at launch.
Well,
It's just going
the
to
only
be,
one that's going to be selling me is my Halo Infinite.
you
Because
have to play that on the new Xbox. Can't play it on the old one.
no.
You got to play it on the new one.
I have
Okay.
to play it on the new one. That's
That's
me
fine.
though. Remember, the reason why
Hey.
I'm an Xbox person, an Xbox lover, is because of the original Halo. That was the first game I ever played on the Xbox. And really, I think it was, apart from Mario when I was a child, but I really don't count that because I technically wasn't playing. It was like my siblings and my cousins I just watched. But to play a game from beginning to end, it was Halo, the first Halo. And so I have to play it on the new console. And there's no way around
Fair enough.
That's
getting around it.
dedication.
Yeah.
Dedication. She's an OG.
If they
Halo
have,
OG.
I keep saying too, if they have a Halo Edition console when it comes out, just kind of like how Scarlet, so the last one that came out, they had Master Chief on the inside of it, you know, the Scorpion Edition one.
Mhm.
I really hope that they have a special edition Xbox One X that's Halo Infinite
Series X. So you're
or
making
Series
mistakes
X. Yeah,
already.
sorry.
Should have named it better, Microsoft.
Get your
Yeah,
get
right.
your names together. Xbox.
It is impossible
the
to be
tower,
drunk
okay.
and try and distinguish between those two consoles.
They're so
Yes.
hard.
I
But-
know because I've been on here trying to do it. It wasn't easy.
So are you saying the S? Are you saying
No.
X or
The
S
mini?
or series?
The
Or what?
Xbox One X Series X, dude.
But
What's
The
the fucking
Xbox
hard
Series
about it?
S. Yeah, that's what I said.
The
I
Xbox
want-
One
I
X
want a
Series
Halo,
S.
I want a Halo Special Edition one only because how me and Dom are physical collectors. The one, two things that he's done for me in the past is he's gotten me two separate Xbox consoles that are Halo Edition. The one I'm looking right in front of me is the Xbox 360 one. It's the Halo Edition.
I like that one.
And he also got me the see-through green one from the original Xbox.
Fancy.
Yeah, the
Extreme.
only one that like I mean I would do anything. Well, I take that back. I wouldn't do anything, but the one that I really want is the orange edition one. That one was like extremely limited to like employees.
Orange,
I
you
believe it
said?
was. Yeah, it looks exactly like the green one, but it's the orange that
Yeah.
you're wearing. If you look it up, it's phenomenal.
I've seen it. No, I've seen it. It's like
Yeah.
a burnt orange. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope.
And it looks exactly like the green one. It has the halo and everything, but they only made, I'm probably going to get it wrong, like less than 500 because it was like 4 employees. But some people sold them off because they're like, whatever. So they are circulating around, you know, on the market some every now and then, but they're so hard to come by. But yeah.
As we move on, we have a couple other news stories to cover before we finish off with a little Resident Evil 3 for tonight. This one is just a little PSA for you guys. Good guys Sony over at PlayStation announced that they have a stay your ass home initiative. And they want you to play some of their games. So right now, they're giving you Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection, and they're giving you Journey. And Journey is available on PS3. For whatever reason, if you only have a PS3 connected, you can enjoy this. But if Journey for PS3 and PS4 and Uncharted Nathan Drake collection, which is awesome, it's going to be free through from April 15th. So yesterday. So yesterday through May 5th. So I claimed mine this morning just because I didn't have the Nathan Drake collection. I own Journey 9 Ways to Sunday, but Nathan Drake collection I just didn't have it. So I claimed that. So that's just a little PSA for you guys to make sure that you guys go and take advantage of some free games that Sony's offering. If you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, which I'm sure you are if you play online games. So make sure you guys do that. Last news subject of the night before Resident Evil 3 is just talking about Gamescom. So Gamescom, as we know, happens in August of every year. It's basically the E3 of Europe. It happens in Germany every single year. and they came out. The organizers that put that show together came out today, and they said that Gamescom 2020 is going to take place digitally this year. So Gamescom has now joined with a list of industry events. So it's going to be taking place in lieu of what's going on in the world right now, since apparently in Germany, basically all organizations of people have been extended kind of throughout the remainder of the year. So the good notes here, and I have a quote, is this comes from Gamescom's Twitter. They said, even though not all details are known at present, the nationwide ban on major events until the end of August will also affect planning for Gamescom. The group said on their Twitter feed, furthermore, Gamescom 2020 will take place digitally. We'll provide further information shortly. So just so you guys are aware out there, you guys can take advantage of now digital events going on in August. So if you guys aren't familiar with Gamescom, get familiar with it. There's a lot of news that happens. And I'm excited for a digital event to hit because I've always wanted to travel to Cologne, Germany for Gamescom. I think it'll be a really cool trip. But it's extremely expensive, so I'm excited that I can participate digitally this year, and I think that's pretty cool. I think we're going to see more of this going forward as far as digital events in a lot of capacities.
Let's see if it even happens, because E3 promised us a digital event, and that's not happening.
Yeah,
either,
but the Gamescom people have their shit together.
Right.
The ESA, they're a whole other bag of eggs over there. Like, who knows what those guys are doing?
Yeah, Gamescom, they're German. All right, they keep their fucking promises.
No truer words have been spoken. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have anything you guys really want to add on Gamescom. No, doesn't look like. Okay, so let's talk about Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 Remake ships 2 million freaking copies in 5 days.
That's
Capcom announced today. So about half of them, they wanted you guys to note, about half of all of their sales on Xbox One, PS4, and PC were digital. So this still means about 1 million copies physically were sold, which I still think in this world we're in, I think that's pretty crazy, although we do have the physical version ourselves, so we can't really talk too much shit. So there is that. But Josh, take it away. Resident Evil Remake. You wrote credits on it. I don't think anybody cares about spoilers for this one, so take it away, buddy.
Yeah, Resident Evil 3 is I did a video unboxing. I got the collector's edition. Did an unboxing, kind of gave my impressions on a video I put out today. But essentially, what I said in that was, one of the things, or I think one of the biggest criticisms were people like, well, it's not quite as good as Resident Evil 2, but that's pretty much the same criticism that was a lot better 20 years ago, right? Resident Evil 3, the original, was not as good as the original Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
But for me, if you ask me, which one I wanted to play on any given day, it would be a tough choice for me because I like both of them for very different reasons. I like the sort of, plodding, methodical pace of exploring the, creepy police department, in a more puzzle-oriented environment. And I really like the high-octane action of Resident Evil 3. I love the fact that, it's, you don't get you're not going to get like, 2 scenarios for 2 separate characters for 4 full playthroughs, right? It's basically a one and done in that you play as Jill, and then you get a couple of brief moments of playing as Carlos interspersed. But I love that even though there's only the one scenario, the 2 characters really do play a little bit differently, right? Jill has sort of a quick step to kind of dodge out of the way, which saved me more than a few times. It also got me eaten more than a few times because I got overconfident in my ability to execute that correctly. And then I love Carlos because Carlos doesn't even mess with dodging. He just punches things. And I think that's wonderful. He just punches stuff in the face. And I said in that video, I was like, there are very few video game moments this year that have been as viscerally satisfying as just punching a hunter in the face as Carlos. Historically, one of the scarier Resident Evil, non big bad enemies, I guess.
Yeah.
So and again, like my playthrough was about 9 hours, but I made some mistakes. I had to do some backtracking. Skill players are blitzing through this thing in like 2 hours, right? And I think that's the big difference between the two is that Resident Evil 3 has a very distinct arcadey feel compared to Resident Evil 2, I think. But that's not bad. It almost makes it more like a high score sort of pursuit, right? Like it encourages multiple playthroughs. I still think there's a lot of reason to do it. And to that end, I just think it's got a different feel, right? They're both great games. And honestly, like I don't know if I could pick which one I really like more than the other because they're so different to me. Like, yes, there are less things the same. Of course, you're going to be doing like inventory management, trying to figure out did you really need that key item, or would it be better served like keeping a
Yeah.
healing item on your person? Yes, you're going to be shooting zombies with intentionally slow aim times to sort of recreate that feeling of terror that you would have if you were actually face to face with one of these monstrosities. So yeah, I love them both. It's an excellent game. Anybody who says it's bad, I don't think that's accurate. Is it true that it's missing some of the features and stuff that the Resident Evil 2 does? Yeah, it is, but it's still a really good game, and I don't think it should be overlooked.
Let me ask you 2 questions.
Yes.
The first one is when I'll ask one, then I'll wait to ask the other. As the credits rolled, did you feel that feeling of satisfaction? Like, did you feel satisfied when those credits rolled?
Yeah, I did feel satisfied because for me, like Final Fantasy, how I wasn't very nostalgic for. I'm very nostalgic for Resident Evil, right? Like when Resident Evil 1 came out, I was still in that Nintendo fanboy phase. So when Resident Evil 2 came out and it got ported to the 64, that's when I really got into it. But then I played it again on the PlayStation when I got the PlayStation about a year after that. And then when 3 came out, I was super excited. When Code Veronica came out, I was super excited. I'd back because those games were peak popularity when I was in high school. I would have been like a sophomore or junior in high school. And thankfully, I had a couple of friends who were as nuts about video games as I was that I was able to connect with in high school. And we would, hang out on the weekend. We would just spend like 2 straight days playing games. Like they were super. It's not like, those people who are just like, oh yeah, I like video games. Like I like Mario Kart. And I'm not saying that they're not real gamers or anything. I'm not trying to gatekeep over here, but I'm just saying it's a different vibe when you talk to someone who's like, oh yeah, I like video games. And then versus talking to people like you who are like, you eat, sleep, breathe video games. You love, you have a profound appreciation for so playing those games back then, and then seeing this just loving recreation of everything that made those games great, but just shoved hard into the modern age with a lot of modern convenience features. Excellent. I'm very happy with it.
No, I have a similar story. Me and my buddy, because I was the only guy in our group to have a Dreamcast when Code Veronica came out. We spent a weekend, and I remember being up till like 7 a.m. playing that through like 2-3 times just to see if we could do it faster, to do a different run. And that's those memories are kind of what solidified it as like one of my favorites, if not my favorite Resident Evil game. Which I'm sad to hear that we may get an RE4 remake before we get a Code Veronica remake.
It's a very conflicted feeling when I hear that they're seriously considering the Resident Evil remake. On one hand, great, take an amazing game and make it even. On the other hand, give me my Code Veronica.
Yes. What are you gonna say, NX?
Oh, well, I said I don't have anything to add here because I've never played a. So
could you do that for me and stream it?
Yeah,
it's a trap.
So no, you need to do.
You shut your face, Jake, and I'm talking to NX.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
NX, listen to me for a second, okay? I don't have any nostalgia feelings for these games because I never played them when I was younger. The first time I got into it was the remake of RE2. Dom made me stream it live, and I was absolutely terrified. And then when I finished the games and rolled credit, I was like, okay, dope. And so when we got to number 3, I was so much more willing to play it. I haven't played it technically. I lived it through Dom because I made him play it on screen because I wanted to hear him scream, and it was absolutely amazing. So if you haven't watched our streams, do that.
A lot of moments.
But he bought 2 more games, right? 7 and what?
And then I bought the Origins collection on Switch. I finally pulled that trigger.
So I think he's gonna make me play that. We'll see.
I've been looking at getting them. I just haven't.
They're fun. They're really fun.
Please get it,
especially in RE2 and RE4, RE2 remake. I mean, because that's the one that looks really good to me.
I would get that. Like that'd be the first one I would say to get, and you could probably pick that up now for $15-20 maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one to add. Yeah,
but I was just gonna say on the topic of the RE3 set, relating to how the game reviewed, and people were just kind of bombing it. Everyone I've talked to who I know have played it, they said they liked it. So it at least makes me happy to see that it is doing well. Like it seems to deserve.
I feel like they were just being too harsh on it. Like the people that reviewed it, I don't know what they were expecting. I don't know.
It got like a low 80, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
But like after playing it, like I said, it's phenomenal. Definitely RE2 is a lot more puzzle based. And then RE3 is a lot more action based.
So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit Josh had a lot of really good points. I'm conflicted because when he said like which is the better game, there's two things that I think of. What's the better game, and then which one do I want to replay? The better game is definitely RE2 from some of the elements it has, storytelling, the two different playthroughs you could do with two very different characters that offer two different nuances to the same story. But when I think about what game I want to replay, I kind of get skewed over to RE3, and I'm committed that as soon as I roll credits on FF7, as soon as I roll credits on Persona 5 Royal before I jump into a new game plus there, I'm going to go back and play RE3 one more time and see Jill in that sexy RPD outfit. I'm doing it.
He said.
I'm gonna play it on hard mode for gamer thumb. I'm gonna put myself through that horror of a gameplay that I'm gonna go through. But when I think about what game I want to play again, I go to RE3, and it's because RE2 does have all the backtracking, all the puzzles that I loved playing through the first time. But when I think about doing it again, it just feels tedious. So
I was about to say, like, that would have been the first time I heard somebody praise backtracking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What was I gonna say? When it comes to the outfits, I'm annoyed because I don't think you can get the original, or at least I didn't see it after I rolled credits. Maybe I missed it when I was looking through the unlockables. But I want to get Tube Top Jill, and I don't think you can get her.
I think I've seen
Checkpoint
a clip
said
of it.
he did. I just
Yeah,
don't.
I think you can.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I think it was in like some deluxe version or something like that. It was like a pre-order option.
Oh,
that sucks.
You're talking about like teal Tube Top Jill,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's my Jill.
Yeah,
remember.
that's mine too. But the original RE outfit Jill is pretty like she has a beret. I mean, it's pretty nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's all right.
That's just not his Jill.
Whatever.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
not my
understand.
Jill.
Yeah, I think it was a pre-order only.
But I definitely think, people were way too harsh on it. I think this game's amazing. I think if you're a Resident Evil fan, you should play it. It has a ton of replayability, partially because it isn't as long as the other one, and it is pretty straightforward. But they definitely both offer two very different styles. One is definitely go action, and one is slow and methodical. But they both offer the horror. They both add something to the horror genre that's very different, but that are both really good. So I don't think a lot of the negativity was really deserved for this one. I think that this wasn't a Capcom sideshow or a money grab. This was definitely very well cared and crafted for. And the last question I was going to ask Josh, and we'll end on tonight, is now that you've completed it, what are your thoughts on Nemesis?
As a character? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, throughout the story, what it is, what they did with it, how it ends.
Like I compared and contrasted. I mean, I feel like you have to, right? You have to compare Nemesis to Mr. X, right? They're two archetypal, like big bads that pursue you to some degree. But I also think they're very different because Mr. X again has a constant plotting pressure that gets applied to the player in Resident Evil 2 because you always hear those footsteps. You're never 100% certain the rooms he can enter, the ones he can't. You're never certain if he's gonna burst through a wall or something after he manifests near the helicopter. But then when it comes to Nemesis, he is more terrifying in the short scripted bursts, really, right? He'll show up during a sequence when you're in the street. He'll show up in boss battles as his form changes. And every time I ran into him, it was fun. It was really fun. And I would even say even though it wasn't a slow burn of dread like I had with Mr. X.
Yeah.
Rather, it was like when this dude showed up, I was terrified. just adrenaline rush sort of terrified, right? Because he's so much faster. He has like a ranged attack at the mid range where he has like those tendrils and everything. So even if you think you've got a lead on him, first off, he can leap in front of you from an incredible distance, and then even if you do feel like you're kind of getting out of range and you're safe, you never know if he's just going to rip you back from like 10 or 12 feet with those tendrils, and then he starts busting out weaponry. Right, it just goes from bad to worse every time, and until it culminates, near one of the ending battles, which I won't spoil here. But I mean, and then it just gets taken to the nth degree. So I would say that I think Nemesis is fantastic. Like I liked him ever since the original 3, and I thought they did a really great job recreating him and making him look even more gooey and more visceral and more just more textured. Like I would not want to I would not want to deal with an 8-foot tall Nemesis in real life that looked like that. The polygonal, or 32-bit Nemesis, maybe. I probably wouldn't be that scared, but the way he looks in this one, it's mortifying. Completely mortifying. So yeah, I loved it. It's great.
Well, one thing that definitely doesn't go from worse to bad or bad to worse, but just better to best is this podcast. So thank you guys for sticking around. If you guys did stick around through the end, we appreciate you. Big hearts to you out there. Thank you so much. If you're watching this on the replay, whether you're on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, make sure you follow because you're probably going to forget. So do it right now. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that as well. Thank you everybody for joining episode 45. Let's go ahead and start where we started off when the podcast started. We'll kind of have everyone go and do their outros tonight. Let them know where you can find each other. Let's start with Mr. NX. Where can people find you, sir?
It's NX. It's NX on Twitter, on YouTube. Just type it in. It's at NX Revolution on Twitter. You should be able to find me. And just NX Revolution on YouTube. I have some things planned I want to do on YouTube. So I hope people look forward to those. And thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for the first time. I hope it's not the last time. Make sure you guys go and follow him.
Oh, I'm definitely never coming back.
He's like, never. It's never
Well,
happened.
we weren't going to tell you, but if you want to make it awkward.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Man with the hair, Mr. Jakin.
What is up, guys? Thanks for having me on again. It's always a pleasure. You know how much I look forward to Thursday nights. I mention it in the chat all the time.
Constantly. Never shut up about it.
And yeah, I think it was a fun show. You can catch me on Twitter at BaconJakin, BAKIN, Jakin. You can also follow me here on YouTube. I've been trying my darndest. Honestly, guys, I've been trying to stream Resident Evil.
You need to. I would
Please
love
God's honest truth. There's no Resident Evils on Game Pass. And so I was like, okay, I have Dolphin, and I was like, I'm just gonna, I'll commandeer Resident Evil 4. But they only have disc 1 that I could find, and also, for whatever reason, Dolphin updated, and it doesn't want to show up in my emulator, so I'm having issues. Maybe I'll just buy the collection on Switch and stream that, but that's the last resort, so I'm weighing my options, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, I really want to watch you get terrified.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to play because I had a blast watching not only Dom but Josh.
So you solidified you're gonna play RE4. Is that the first one you're taking a stab at?
Yeah.
All right. I think you can buy that separately a la carte on Switch digitally.
If you can, and it's
$30.
Oof.
Fuck that.
Oof.
No.
It was on sale for $20 a couple weeks ago, and I contemplated it.
I'm not spending $30 to be terrified. I'll do it for free.
I mean, they have it on PS4 and Xbox as well.
It's not just terror though. I mean, like Resident Evil 4 is a great game, right? Like if you strip the terror out of it, like the mechanics, everything will still be satisfying.
At one point in life, I was in the camp of it's the greatest game ever made for a long time. I love RE4. Yeah, RE4 is fantastic. I played that way too many times in high school.
In the before days, before Persona.
Yeah, this is pre Persona.
Pre Persona 4 Golden.
Yes.
one of the best games ever.
Yes. I think P5 definitely took that range for me. I think P5 is probably my favorite game ever.
P5 is really good, but P4. I don't know. Maybe it's just because P4 was the first one I played, and I just sank so many hours into that, and I'm not that far into P5 yet. But P4 is really good.
Finish 5. Some of the things that it does is just fantastic. I can go on and on about that. But one guy I can't shut up about is your player 2. What you got cooking?
As far as stuff I've got coming up on the channel, I will be doing. I forgot to do a March pickups video earlier this month, so that'll be coming out in like a week or so. Other videos that I've got coming out are a couple of features about what like weird irritations I have with physical collecting when it comes to video games, and also the reason I like collecting physical video games, the reason I'm not much of a digital guy. Other than that, I probably have some more streams coming up. I'm not streaming any Final Fantasy VII. I've decided I'm electing not to stream it at all. One, because I don't want to accidentally spoil it for somebody else. Two, I don't want someone to accidentally spoil it for me.
Fair.
But yeah, most recent video that I put out was again I'll drop in the chat here, but it was the collector's edition for Resident Evil 3, the unboxing, which was done in a very stylized Michael Bay-ish sort of way, I guess. And my expanded thoughts on it after Cynthia made me stay up till 3:30 in the morning to finish it. I did that under duress. It was terrifying.
It was only midnight for me, and it was
you're like, oh, it's only midnight for me. It was no problem.
Yeah,
do that.
Yeah,
that is woman logic at its finest. Really, it's impressive. The mental gymnastics they do to fuck over our lives.
It was.
And it's funny.
It was a good time.
The same spot that you started your last stream, I think, is almost where we started our last stream.
Oh, weird.
You streamed for like 3 to 4 hours on the last one, right?
No, I only streamed for I streamed. I think I streamed it twice before that because that was the third time I streamed it, and I think the first stream was like an hour and a half.
Was it?
It was like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and then he did like a 5 and almost 6 hour stream.
Yeah, that was like a 6-hour stream because I was supposed to play Bloodborne then
Yeah,
Danny wasn't feeling great.
That's what I was saying. It's like you streamed a long time that day because I remember. Oh, it was longer because I remember watching you when you first started. Wasn't it like 6 p.m. or something? No, my time was like 8
Yeah, I started
time?
streaming. Yeah, it would have been like 6-ish. I think I started like 8 or 8:30.
Yeah.
It must have been like 8:30 because we wrapped up around 2:33 in the morning my time.
Yeah.
So it was probably closer to 5:30 or 6 your time. And when we started, I was still in the beginning part where you're in the streets, like when you're trying to get on the subway car.
And it was funny because Dom even told me too. He's like, "Are you just not gonna play?" Because I was watching you from beginning to end. I was like, "Hell
Which
no!"
I appreciate.
And I was like, "Josh is streaming Resident Evil." I was like, "I want to see this man scream."
Yeah, it was. Oh man,
Yeah,
I had not done
too.
I did scream a couple of times.
Shoving my her phone in my face. She's like, "Look at this girly scream! Look at it. Let me replay it for you."
It's funny. I had a nod to that in today's video. Screamed in a predictably manly fashion. Which, if you watch that stream, I just lied to you.
And the funny part
I feel bad about it.
I was comparing your scream to Dom's scream. Dom is so much girlier.
Oh yeah,
he's girlier than me.
Oh
I don't
hell
know.
yeah! If you didn't,
my hands throw up.
Hear his screams like.
So you throw your hands? Oh, that's awesome.
No,
that makes me really
he's
happy.
Exaggerating, but he does go high pitch when he screams.
Yeah.
You have the standard manly scream. You're like, ah.
After 40,
the standard manly scream. Okay.
After 45 episodes and like 900 videos on YouTube, if you guys don't know, I have a very nasally voice. Then welcome to the fucking Game Looters, guys.
Yeah.
I would love to see like a supercut of Dom's terrified screams.
I'm gonna see if maybe he can get a montage of just all the times he screamed.
I could look into that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see this.
Yeah.
There's your next project.
Good.
Well, thank you guys for joining Lootcast episode number 45, where we provide you screams, dreams, and everything in between.